Hey there, explorers of the unknown. What's your day been like? Any eerie whispers or strange shadows catching your eye? I just spent mine diving deep into a chilling tale of a haunted forest, stone circles, and a battle against an ancient force called the Shroud. Trust me, it's got my heart racing. Now I want to hear your story. What's the creepiest thing you've encountered today? Or maybe a mystery you've always wondered about? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. If you're loving these spooky vibes, hit that subscribe button and give this video a like to join our crew of thrill seekers. Let's uncover the secrets together. The forest is alive tonight, its whispers curling through the open window of my study like smoke. It's a sound I've known since I was a kid, a low, restless hum, like voices arguing in a language I can't quite catch. I'm 34, but tonight I feel ancient, my body battered by a cold that won't quit, and a backache that's been gnawing at me for days. I rub my temples, trying to shake the fog in my head, and glance at my brother, Julian, sprawled in the armchair across from me. He's 28, all sharp edges and nervous energy, his dark eyes glued to his phone as he scrolls through something that's got him on edge. "Elise, check this out," Julian says, his voice slicing through the haze. He holds up his phone, the screen casting a pale glow on his angular face. It's a screenshot from a shady online forum, the kind of place where people trade ghost stories and conspiracy theories. Someone's selling guided tours into our forest. They've got specifics, patrol gaps, camera dead zones, even the old miner's path we blocked off last spring. This isn't just some thrill-seeker nonsense. Someone's spilling secrets. My fingers tighten around my coffee mug, the ceramic warm against my palms. The forest isn't just a stretch of trees. It's a living, breathing beast, older than the mountains it's rooted in. My family's been tied to it for generations, ever since our great-great-grandmother staked out this land in the 1880s. I was 31 when I made my deal with the Dusk Keeper, a thing with eyes like smouldering embers and a voice that felt like ice in my veins. "Protect the forest," it growled, "or the balance will break." I thought it meant keeping people away from the leshy and vodyanoi that lurk in the shadows and streams. But now, with strangers slipping through our defenses, leaving beer cans and boot prints where they don't belong, I'm starting to think there's more to the Keeper's warning than I understood. Julian leans forward, his dark hair falling into his eyes. "You think one of our crew's behind this, selling us out?" The question hits like a punch. My team isn't just a bunch of hired hands. They're people I've trained, shared late-night shifts with, trusted to face the forest's weirdness without blinking. But the evidence is hard to ignore. "Could be," I say, my voice rough from coughing. "I'll go through their logs tomorrow. You dig into the camera archives. If we've got a traitor, I want proof." Julian nods, but his gaze lingers, like he's trying to peel back the layers I'm hiding. He's always been sharp like that, ever since we were kids racing across the frozen twin ponds, back when the forest felt like a playground instead of a prison. He's the only one of my siblings who still shows up. Our older sister, Clara, owns a bar in Portland, mailing checks but never calling. Our brother, Owen, is off in Montana, doing something with cattle ranching, I think. They all pitch in to keep the forest secure, but I'm the one who stays, the one who faces the things that slink out of the mist. I push away from the desk, wincing as my back screams in protest. The study is a mess of maps, patrol schedules, and empty mugs, the walls lined with photos of the forest, some just trees and fog, others catching flickers of things that make my skin crawl. One blurry image, snapped last fall, shows a shape near the ponds, its face smudged, but its eyes glowing like twin lanterns. I told myself it was a glitch, but I know better. The forest doesn't play tricks, it lays traps. Julian's still scrolling, his fingers moving fast. "This isn't random," he says. "The post mentions the ring. You ever heard of that?" My stomach lurches. The ring is a circle of weathered stones, hidden deep in the forest near the twin ponds. I found it when I was 16, sneaking out to skate with Julian one winter. The stones were etched with symbols I couldn't place, spirals, eyes, things that looked alive in the moonlight. Standing inside the ring felt like diving into deep water. No sound, no air, just a pressure that squeezed my ribs. I never told anyone, not even Julian. But the Dusk Keeper spoke of it during our deal, its voice heavy with menace. "Avoid the ring, or it will stir." "I've seen it," I admit, keeping my tone steady. "Old stones, maybe from the tribes who lived here before." "Why?" Julian's eyes narrow. "The Post calls it the heart of the forest's mystery. Sounds like they're not just here to gawk at the Vodyanoi." I force a chuckle, but it sounds brittle. The Vodyanoi, water spirits with slimy skin and a knack for pulling people under, aren't the worst things out here. The Leshy, with their bark-like flesh and voices that mimic your loved ones, are harder to dodge. But the Dusk Keeper is different, a force that feels like it's stitched into the forest's bones. And now this talk of the ring and mysteries makes me think there's something bigger at play, something the Keeper didn't trust me to know. The real-world threads I'm weaving in come from stories I've read, places that feel too close to our own. There's the Hoia Bațiu forest in Romania, dubbed the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania, where trees grow in unnatural spirals, and people report missing time, nausea, even burns. Locals blame spirits, scientists point to electromagnetic fields or infrasound. Our forest has its own quirks. Phones go haywire near the ponds, GPS signals drop, and every few months someone claims they saw witch lights flickering in the fog. I've seen those lights myself, pale and pulsing, and they're no fireflies. Then there's the history of this land. My great-great-grandmother's diary, locked in a trunk upstairs, describes the forest like it's a living thing. She wrote about the shroud, a presence that watches from the stones. She was a herbalist, not a storyteller, so her words hit hard. She mentioned offerings, blood, herbs, even bones, to keep the shroud calm. I thought it was just pioneer superstition until I met the Dusk Keeper. Now I'm wondering if the shroud is what's waking, luring these intruders like flies to a web. Julian sets his phone down, rubbing his face. "You look like death, Elise. When do you last sleep?" "Last night," I lie. Sleep's been a ghost since the nightmares started. Every night I see the ring, the stones glowing under a sky that's too dark, too vast. In the dreams I'm not alone. There's something there, not the Keeper, but older, colder, with a voice that promises truth if I step into the circle. I wake up, choking, my hands trembling, like I've been running from something I can't see. Julian doesn't push, but I know he's worried. He's always been my rock, even when he was a lanky kid trailing me on the ponds, his skates slipping but his laugh unstoppable. He's a property developer now, charming clients with that quick smile and clever tongue, but he's got his shadows, betting debts, messy breakups, a habit of running when things get heavy. Yet he's here, sifting through sketchy forums for me because that's what we do. I stand, ignoring the pain in my back, and grab my coat. "I'm checking the patrol logs. You keep on those archives. If we've got a leak, I want answers by dawn." Julian arches a brow. "You sure you're up for it? You sound like you're hacking up half your lung." "I'm good," I snap, softer than I mean. "Just stay on it, okay? We can't let this spiral." He nods, but as I reach the door, he calls out, "Elise, if this is bigger than we think, if the forest is hiding something, promise you'll tell me, no holding back." I freeze, my hand on the knob. The Dusk Keeper's pact weighs on me, the words I can't say, protect the forest or the shroud will rise. I want to tell Julian everything about the Keeper, the ring, the nightmares, but my tongue feels leaden. "No holding back," I say, and it tastes like a betrayal. Outside, the night is thick with mist, the kind that clings to your skin and swallows sound. The forest looms beyond the house, a fortress of gnarled pines and skeletal birches. I flick on my flashlight, its beams slicing through the haze, and head for the patrol shed. The air smells of wet earth and something metallic, like a storm brewing. My boots crunch on gravel, then moss, as I skirt the forest's edge. The shed is a low concrete bunker, crammed with monitors and logbooks. I flip through the patrol records, my eyes scanning for anything off. Most of the crew logs are consistent, but one name catches my attention. Gideon, a reserved guy, 32, been with us 3 years. His entries are too perfect, every shift identical, like he's filling in blanks. I flag him, but my gut's still on Silas, our night shift captain. He's 37, knows the forest like his own shadow, and he's been distant lately, dodging my questions with a tight smile. As I close the logbook, a noise stops me, a faint, pulsing chant, drifting from the forest, near the ponds. My flashlight sweeps the trees, catching nothing but mist. The chant grows, and for a split second I see something, a figure, tall and gaunt, slipping through the fog. My pulse spikes, but I don't call out. If it's one of my crew, I want them caught. If it's something else, I grip the knife in my pocket, the one I've carried since the keeper's deal. The real-world roots keep grounding the uncanny. I think of the Black Hills in South Dakota, where hikers report hearing voices and seeing shapes that vanish when approached. The Lakota say it's the spirits of ancestors. Geologists blame acoustic anomalies from the rock formations. Our forest has its own strangeness. Compasses spin near the ponds, radios crackle with static, and every year locals swear they see ghost orbs dancing in the mist. I've seen those orbs, green and fleeting, and they're no trick of the light. Then there's the folklore. The Eastern European tales my great aunt shared, Leshy leading travellers astray, Vodyanoi drowning the careless, feel alive here. But it's the local history that cuts deeper. The nearby town, Ash Hollow, has stories of a haunted wood dating back to the 1870s. Homesteaders wrote of stone rings and voices in the fog of women who wandered into the trees and returned, changed, their eyes hollow. The county archives hold faded reports of missing trappers and eerie carvings near the ponds. I've pored over them, hunting for clues, but they only deepen the mystery. I step into the forest, following the chant. The mist thickens, eating my flashlight's beam. The trees seem to close in, their branches like fingers reaching for the sky. I'm halfway to the ponds when I see it, a footprint, fresh in the mud, not human but clawed, like something crawled out of a nightmare. My breath hitches and the chant cuts off, replaced by a silence that presses on my chest. I should turn back, grab Julian, call the team, but the forest pulls me, like it's daring me to keep going. The Dusk Keeper's words echo, protect the forest, or the balance will break. I don't know what's out there, Silas, Gideon, Aleshi, or something worse, but I'm done waiting. Someone's playing a deadly game and I'm ready to play back. I clutch my knife and move deeper into the mist, toward the ponds, toward the ring. Whatever's waiting, I'll meet it. For Julian, for the forest, for the truth. The forest is my cathedral, and tonight, it sings for me. I stand in the shadow of the stone ring, its ancient slabs glowing faintly under the moon's cold light. The air hums with a power that makes my skin prickle, a pulse that's been growing stronger with every soul I've fed to the shroud. I'm 37, old enough to know better, but young enough to crave what the shroud promises: power, eternity, a life beyond this miserable grind. The mist curls around my boots, thick and alive, whispering in a voice that's not quite human. More. Bring more, the gate is near. Elise is onto me, I can feel it. That damn woman's got a nose like a bloodhound, and her brother, Julian, isn't helping. He's been poking around the camera feeds, probably digging up the scraps I couldn't erase. Last week, I slipped up, left a clip of me guiding a group of ghost hunters through the old miner's path. I deleted it, but Julian's clever, too clever for his own good. If he recovers it, he'll see me leading those fools to the ring, their eyes wide with greed for a thrill they'd never survive. They paid me $5,000 for the ultimate paranormal experience. They got it all right. The shroud took their souls, left their bodies stumbling through the pines like puppets, empty and twitching. I'm not a traitor. I'm a visionary. Elise thinks she's guarding some sacred ground, keeping the Leshy and Vodyanoi from snatching hikers. She's clueless. The Dusk Keeper, that hulking thing she bows to, is just a gatekeeper, a dog on a leash. The real power is the Shroud, a force older than the mountains, older than time. It's been sleeping in this forest for centuries, locked behind the stone ring, waiting for someone like me to set it free. I found it by accident 4 years ago when I was mapping patrol routes. I stepped into the ring, and the world went quiet. No birds, no wind, just that voice, promising me everything if I'd serve it. I've been its disciple ever since. The ring is hidden deep in the forest, near the twin ponds where Elise and Julian used to skate as kids. I've seen the old photos in the patrol shed, the two of them grinning on the ice, oblivious to the Vodyanoi watching from the depths. The stones are weathered, carved with symbols that look like eyes and spirals, pulsing faintly when the moon's high. I've brought 12 people here over the past year, thrill seekers, cryptozoologists, even a wannabe influencer chasing clout. They all paid well, thinking they'd get a story to tell. Instead, they fed the Shroud, their souls sucked into the void while their bodies wandered off, lost to the fog. The locals call them the Strays, blaming bears or bad weather. I know better. Tonight, I'm bringing the final group. 5 urban explorers, rich kids from Chicago, wired me 10 grand for a forbidden forest tour. They're waiting at the old logging road, probably giggling over their ghost hunting apps. I check my watch, midnight. Time to move. I adjust the backpack slung over my shoulder, heavy with rope and flashlights, and slip through the trees. The forest knows me, parts for me, the mist guiding my steps like a lover's hand. Elise is getting too close. Yesterday, I caught her flipping through the patrol logs, her eyes lingering on my name. She's suspicious, but she doesn't know the half of it. I've been careful, erasing footage, fudging my reports, planting fake leads like that bloody boot I left near the East Trail. It'll keep her chasing shadows for a while. But Julian's the real problem. He's got that dogged streak, like he can smell a lie. If he finds the deleted clip, or worse, starts sniffing around the ring, I'll have to deal with him. Permanently. The real-world threads I'm weaving in come from places I've studied, stories that echo this forest's pull. There's the Freetown Fall River State Forest in Massachusetts, part of the Bridgewater Triangle, where people vanish, and UFOs, Bigfoot, and cult rituals get blamed. Locals talk of pukwudgies, trickster spirits that lure hikers off paths. Our forest has its own legends. Ash Hollow's archives mention stone circles and lost souls from the 1870s, when settlers vanished, leaving carvings that match the ring's symbols. I've seen those carvings, and they're no coincidence. Then there's the science, the kind that makes the Shroud feel plausible. Infrasound, low-frequency waves below human hearing, can cause dread, nausea, even hallucinations. Scientists say it's why places like Hoya Batsiu feel haunted. Our forest has it too. Geologists found a fault line near the ponds, emitting infrasound that messes with your head. I felt it the first time I entered the ring, a hum that made my teeth ache. But it's not just science. The Shroud uses that hum, amplifies it, turning it into a call only I hear. I reach the logging road where the explorers are waiting. They're young, early 20s, decked out in expensive gear. Night vision, goggles, EMF meters, the works. The leader, a guy named Dylan, grins at me, his teeth flashing in the dark. "You're the guide, right? Ready to show us the spooky stuff?" "Spooky doesn't cover it," I say, forcing a smile. "Stick close and don't wander. This place doesn't forgive mistakes." They laugh, thinking I'm playing up the vibe. I lead them into the forest, the mist swallowing their chatter. The path to the ring is second nature now, every root and rock memorized. The Shroud's voice grows louder, urgent. They are the last. The gate will open. My heart races, not with fear, but with hunger. I've seen glimpses of what lies beyond, a world of endless night where I'll be more than human, more than mortal. Halfway to the ring, I hear a snap, a branch breaking, too deliberate for an animal. I freeze, scanning the trees, nothing. Could be a leshy playing tricks, or worse, Elise, tailing me. She's stubborn enough to patrol alone, even sick. I signal the group to keep moving, my hand brushing the knife in my belt. If it's her, I'll handle it. The shroud doesn't care about blood, only souls. The ring comes into view, its stones shimmering like wet bone. The explorers gasp, their gadgets beeping wildly. Dylan steps forward, filming with his phone. "This is insane," he mutters. "What is this place?" "The heart of the forest," I say, my voice low. "Step inside and you'll see." They hesitate, sensing something off, but greed pulls them in. One by one, they cross the ring's threshold, and the air shifts, heavy and electric. The shroud's hum becomes a roar, vibrating in my chest. The kids freeze, their faces slack, eyes glazing over. Dylan drops his phone, its screen cracking on a stone. I feel the shroud's power surge, a wave of cold that burns. Then a voice cuts through the hum. Elise's, sharp and furious. "Silas, stop!" I spin, my knife out, but she's not alone. Julian's with her, his flashlight blinding me. The shroud screams in my head. "Finish it!" I lunge for the nearest kid, ready to push him deeper into the ring, but Elise tackles me, her strength surprising for someone half dead with a cold. We hit the ground, and the forest erupts. Mist swirling, stones pulsing, the shroud's voice drowning out everything. This is it. The gate is opening, and no one, not Elise, not Julian, will stop me. The hum of the forest lingers in my ears, a restless drone that's followed me back to the house. I'm hunched over my desk, the glow of the computer screen burning my eyes as I sift through patrol logs. My throat's raw from coughing, and my back aches like someone's been grinding a boot into it. At 35, I shouldn't feel this broken, but the forest has a way of wearing you down. Julian's in the next room, cursing under his breath as he wrestles with the camera archives. He's 29, all sharp wit and restless energy, and right now he's my only ally in this mess. I flip through the logs, my fingers trembling from too much coffee and too little sleep. The crew's reports are routine, checkpoints, timestamps, nothing out of the ordinary. But something's off, like a shadow just out of sight. Julian's discovery last night, a dark web post selling tours of our forest, complete with patrol gaps and camera blind spots, has me on edge. Someone's betraying us, and the thought twists my gut. These aren't just employees, they're people I've trusted to face the forest's strangeness, from the vodyanoi in the twin ponds to the leshy that mimic your voice in the fog. But the forest doesn't care about trust, and neither, it seems, does someone on my team. Julian bursts in, holding a USB drive like it's a grenade. "Mara, I got something," he says, his voice tight. "Pulled a deleted clip from the archives. You're not going to like it." I plug the drive into my laptop, my heart thudding. The footage is grainy, time-stamped 2 weeks ago, near the old miners' trail. It shows Silas, our night shift captain, 38, leading a group of 4 strangers through the trees. They're carrying backpacks, flashlights, and what looks like paranormal gear, EMF meters, maybe cameras. Silas glances at the camera, his face unreadable. Then they vanish into the dark. The clip ends abruptly like someone cut it off. "What the hell is he doing?" I mutter, my voice barely above a whisper. "There's more," Julian says, leaning over my shoulder. "Found this in the shed this morning." He drops a plastic bag on the desk, containing a leather glove, stiff with dried blood. It was near the west perimeter, half buried in the dirt. My stomach churns. Silas has been with us 5 years, longer than most. He's quiet, methodical, knows the forest's quirks better than anyone. But this is damning. "We need to talk to him," I say, standing too fast and wincing as my back protests. "But first, we check the ponds. That's where he took them in the clip." Julian hesitates, his dark eyes searching mine. "You sure you're up for this? You look like you're one cough away from collapsing." "I'm fine," I snap, softer than I mean. "Grab your gear, we're going now." The twin ponds are a half-mile into the forest, their frozen surfaces glinting under the late afternoon sun. We move quietly, Julian's flashlight tucked in his belt, my knife heavy in my coat pocket. The air's thick with the smell of pine and something sharper, like rust. The forest feels watchful, its branches swaying without wind. I've walked these paths 1,000 times, but today Every shadow feels like a threat. We reach the ponds and I spot the stone ring almost immediately, its weathered slabs half hidden by moss and roots. I've known about it since I was a teenager, sneaking out to skate with Julian. The stones are carved with symbols, spirals, eyes, things that seem to shift when you stare too long. I've avoided it since the Dusk Keeper's pact 4 years ago when I was 31. Its voice still haunts me. Guard the forest or the shroud will rise. Shun the ring or it will wake. I never told Julian, but now, seeing the ring, I wonder if Silas knows more than he's let on. "Over here," Julian calls, crouching near the pond's edge. He points to a patch of mud where a set of footprints, human, size 10, maybe Silas's, mix with something else, long clawed marks like nothing I've seen. My breath catches. Vodyanoi leave no tracks, Leshy don't need to. This is something new, something tied to the ring. I kneel beside him, my flashlight sweeping the ground. "These lead toward the ring," I say, my voice steady despite the chill creeping up my spine. Silas was here, and not alone. Julian's face hardens. "You think he's working with someone? Or something?" I don't answer. The Dusk Keeper's warning echoes in my head, but there's more to this forest than even it let on. The ring feels alive, its stones pulsing faintly, like a heartbeat. I stand, brushing dirt from my knees, and notice a scrap of fabric caught on a thorn, blue nylon, like the backpacks in the footage. "We're close," I say. "Let's follow the tracks. The real-world threads I'm pulling in ground the uncanny in something tangible. I think of the Rendlesham Forest in England, where in 1980 military personnel reported strange lights and triangular craft later blamed on a lighthouse or atmospheric phenomena. Locals still talk of ghostly figures and compasses failing near certain clearings. Our forest has its own anomalies. Radios crackle with static near the ponds, and last year a hiker swore his watch stopped for 3 hours. I've felt it myself, a disorientation that makes time slip, especially near the ring. Then there's the history. The Ash Hollow archives hold stories from the 1880s, when loggers vanished, leaving tools etched with symbols matching the ring's carvings. One report mentions a shroud of mist that spoke in tongues, driving men mad. My great-grandfather's journal, hidden in the attic, describes similar things, a presence in the forest, appeased with offerings of salt and bone. He was a surveyor, not a mystic, so his words carry weight. I've started to think the shroud isn't just a myth, but a force, using the ring to reach into our world. The tracks lead us deeper, the forest closing in. The air grows heavy, the light dimming as clouds swallow the sun. Julian's quiet, his flashlight flickering like it's struggling. We find more signs, broken twigs, a crushed energy bar wrapper, another clawed print. My mind races. Silas could be smuggling thrill seekers for cash, but the bloody glove and those tracks suggest something darker. Is he feeding the forest like the old stories warned? And if so, what's he waking? We stop at the edge of the ring, its stones looming like sentinels. The air's electric, buzzing in my teeth. Julian points to a fresh scuff mark on a stone, as if someone dragged something heavy. "Silas was here," he says. "Recently." I nod, my hand on my knife. The ring's symbols seem to glow, faint but undeniable. A sound rises, a low chant like the one I heard last night, coming from the ring's center. My pulse spikes, but I step forward, drawn by a pull I can't explain. Julian grabs my arm. "Mara, wait, this feels wrong." He's right, but I can't stop. The Dusk Keeper's pact binds me, but it's more than that. The ring knows something, and I need answers. "Stay close," I say, stepping into the ring. The world shifts. Sound vanishes, air thickens, and for a moment I see it. A vision of the forest, not as it is, but as a maze of stone and shadow with a vast, eyeless presence at its heart. The shroud. I stumble back, gasping, Julian's hand steadying me. "What the hell was that?" he demands. "I don't know," I say, my voice shaking. "But Silas is part of it. We find him. We find the truth. The forest is a living pulse beneath my boots, its whispers clawing at the edges of my mind. The twin ponds lie ahead, their frozen surfaces catching the last slivers of twilight like cracked mirrors. I'm 36, but the ache in my bones and the rasp in my throat make me feel decades older, worn thin by this endless cold and the weight of the forest's secrets. Julian, 27, strides beside me, his flashlight beam cutting through the thickening fog. His sharp features are tense, his grey eyes scanning the trees like he expects something to lunge out. We're here because of Silas. His betrayal caught on that grainy footage, leading strangers to these ponds, to the stone ring that's haunted me since the Dusk Keepers pact 5 years ago. The air grows heavier as we approach, thick with the scent of damp earth and something acrid like burnt metal. My knife sits heavy in my coat pocket, a cold comfort against whatever we're walking into. Julian's quiet, his usual chatter replaced by a taut silence. The footage we found, Silas guiding those ghost hunters toward the ponds, has us both on edge. The bloody glove, the clawed footprints, the scrap of nylon we found earlier, they all point here, to this frozen heart of the forest. I can still hear the Dusk Keeper's voice from that night I swore, to protect this place. Shun the ring, or the shroud will wake. I thought I understood, thought it was just about keeping the Leshy and Vodyanoi at bay. Now I'm not so sure. We reach the ponds, and the stone ring looms into view, its weathered slabs half buried in frost and roots. The symbols carved, a mix of spirals, eyes, and jagged lines, seem to shimmer faintly as if lit from within. I've avoided this place since I was a teenager, since Julian and I skated here, laughing, oblivious to the eyes watching from the water. The Dusk Keeper's warning kept me away, but now, standing here, I feel it. A pull, like the ring is calling me. We reach the ponds, and the stone ring looms into view, its weathered slabs half buried in frost and roots. The symbols carved, a mix of spirals, eyes, and jagged lines, seem to shimmer faintly, as if lit from within. I've avoided this place since I was a teenager, since Julian and I skated here, laughing, oblivious to the eyes watching from the water. The Dusk Keeper's warning kept me away, but now, standing here, I feel it, a pull, like the ring is calling me. Look, Julian says, his voice low, pointing to the pond's edge. A trail of footprints, human, fresh, and beside them, those clawed marks we saw before, long and deep, like something dragged itself from the ice. My pulse quickens. Silas was here, he says, crouching to inspect them. And something else. I nod, my flashlight sweeping the ground. The tracks lead toward the ring, disappearing into the mist. He's not working alone, I say, my voice steady despite the chill in my gut. Those aren't Vodyanoi, they're too deliberate. Julian stands, his jaw tight. You think it's tied to the ring? That forum post called it the forest's heart. I don't answer. The ring feels alive, its stones pulsing in time with my heartbeat. I step closer, and the air shifts, thicker, colder, like stepping into a vacuum. A faint hum rises, the same chant I heard last night, low and rhythmic, coming from the ring's center. My skin prickles, and I grip my knife tighter. We follow the tracks, the fog swallowing the world around us. The ponds reflect nothing, their surfaces dull and opaque. Julian's flashlight flickers, its beam stuttering like it's fighting to stay lit. I spot something glinting in the mud, a broken keychain, cheap plastic, with a ghost hunter logo, the kind of junk those thrill seekers from the footage might carry. I pick it up, turning it over. They were here, I say. Silas brought them to the ring. Julian's eyes narrow. For what? Money, or something worse? I shake my head, the Dusk Keeper's words echoing. Or the shroud will rise. I've read the old stories in my great-grandmother's journal, tales of a mist that hungers, a force that took souls and left bodies empty. I thought they were just warnings, metaphors for getting lost in the woods. But now, with Silas's betrayal and these tracks, I'm starting to think the shroud is real, and it's waking. We reach the ring's edge, and the hum grows louder, vibrating in my chest. The symbols glow brighter, casting eerie shadows on the snow. Julian hesitates, his flashlight trembling in his hand. Mara, this feels wrong, like we're being watched. He's right. The forest is too quiet, no birds, no wind, just the hum and the weight of unseen eyes. I step into the ring, and the world lurches. Sound vanishes, the air pressing against my ribs like a fist. A vision hits me, the forest, but not as it is, a labyrinth of stone and shadow, its paths twisting into a void where a vast, formless presence waits, its surface rippling with countless eyes. The shroud. It knows my name, whispering promises of truth, power, if I'll just stay. I stagger back, gasping, Julian's hand yanking me out. Mara, what the hell happened? My heart pounds, my breath ragged. I saw something in the ring. It's not just a place, Julian. It's a door. His face pales, but he doesn't flinch. A door to what? I don't know, I admit, my voice shaking. But Silas does, and we're going to find him. The real-world threads I'm weaving in make the impossible feel close. I think of the Devil's Tramping Ground in North Carolina, a barren circle where nothing grows, and locals swear fires burn without fuel. They say it's a portal, a place where the devil paces, plotting. Scientists blame soil acidity, but the stories persist, people vanishing, compasses failing, strange lights at night. Our forest has its own version, the ring, where electronics glitch and time feels slippery. Last summer, a hiker reported his phone rebooting near the ponds, its clock reset to midnight. I've felt it too, a disorientation, like the ring is pulling you out of reality. Then there's the history. The Ash Hollow archives, tucked in the county library, hold records from the 1870s, loggers who disappeared, leaving journals about stone circles and voices in the mist. One entry, from a preacher, describes a shroud of shadow that drank the soul of his son, leaving him a husk. My great-grandmother's diary echoes it, mentioning rituals, blood, salt, carved bones, to keep the shroud dormant. She was a midwife, not a dreamer, so her words hit hard. I've started to think the ring isn't just a relic, but a lock, and Silas is turning the key. The forest is a living beast, its pulse hammering beneath my boots as I push through the mist. The twin ponds are behind us, their frozen surfaces swallowed by the dark, but the stone ring lies ahead, its presence a weight in my chest. I'm Lena, 34, my body battered by a cold that claws my lungs and a backache that feels like a blade twisting in my spine. Beside me is my brother Theo, 26, his flashlight beams slicing through the fog, his lean frame taut with the kind of fear that sharpens the senses. We're here for Silas, his betrayal burned into my mind from that grainy footage, the bloody glove, the clawed tracks, the nylon scrap we found by the ponds. The Dusk Keeper's pact made when I was 29 echoes in my skull. Guard the forest or the shroud will rise, shun the ring or it will wake. I thought I was protecting the Leshy and Vodyanoi from intruders. Now I know it's about something older, hungrier, and Silas is its key. The air is thick, heavy with pine, and a metallic tang that stings my nose. My knife is a cold weight in my coat pocket, its blade a promise I hope I won't need. Theo's quiet, his usual quick wit buried under the forest's oppressive silence. The ring's hum, that low chant we heard at the ponds, grows louder, vibrating in my teeth as we near its hidden clearing. The stones are close now, their silhouettes jagged against the moon's pale glow, carved with spirals and eyes that seem to watch us. I've avoided this place since I was a girl, since Theo and I skated on the ponds, oblivious to the Vodanoi's gaze. But tonight, there's no turning back. Silas is here, and so is the shroud. We break through the trees, and the ring looms before us, its slabs glowing faintly, like wet bone under the moonlight. Silas stands at its center, 39, his broad shoulders hunched as he murmurs words I can't make out. Around him are 5 figures, urban explorers, their expensive gear glinting in the dark, their faces slack, eyes glassy like they're caught in a trance. The air crackles, the stones pulsing in time with the hum, and the ground trembles faintly as if something vast is stirring beneath. My heart slams against my ribs. This is no ghost hunting tour. This is a ritual. "Silas!" I shout, my voice cutting through the chant. "What the hell are you doing?" He spins, his face twisting into a smile that's all teeth, no warmth. "Lena, you're late to the party," he says, his voice smooth but laced with venom. "The shroud's waking. You think you're guarding this forest for that Dusk Keeper? You're just a pawn. The real power's here, in the ring, and I'm opening the gate." "The shroud?" I repeat, my throat tight. The word feels like a stone in my mouth, heavy with the visions I saw at the ponds, that eyeless presence, rippling with hunger. Silas laughs, a jagged sound. "You're clueless, Lena. The Dusk Keeper, the Leshy, the Vodyanoi, they're nothing. Puppets. The shroud's been here for millennia, waiting to break through. These kids—" He gestures to the explorers, their bodies swaying like reeds. "Their souls are the final key. Step aside, or you'll be next." Theo lunges, his flashlight raised like a club, but a pulse of light erupts from the ring, knocking him back. He hits the ground hard, groaning, and I rush to him, my knife out. The mist thickens, swirling into shapes, faces, hands, things that flicker and vanish. The ground cracks, a thin line of black splaying from the ring's center, and a wave of cold rolls out, sharp enough to burn. The shroud's voice fills my head, not a whisper but a roar. "Join us, become eternal." I stagger, clutching Theo's arm, but a shadow moves in the fog, tall, massive, its eyes like embers. The Dusk Keeper. It steps into the ring, its gnarled limbs trembling with rage. "You swore," it growls, its voice a landslide. "Stop this, or all is lost." The truth hits me like a fist. My pact wasn't just about keeping hikers out or appeasing the forest spirits. It was about locking the shroud away, keeping this gate closed. The Dusk Keeper isn't my master. It's a prisoner, bound to hold the line, and Silas is breaking it. "Theo, keep Silas busy!" I shout, scrambling toward the ring's central stone, a slab taller than the rest, its symbols glowing like molten iron. Silas moves to block me, his knife flashing, but Theo tackles him, their bodies crashing into the dirt. The explorers sway, their mouths opening in a silent scream as the hum becomes a shriek. The crack in the ground widens, splaying like a spider's web, and the mist pours upward, thick and black, carrying voices, hundreds, thousands, wailing in languages I don't know. "Theo, keep Silas busy!" I shout, scrambling toward the ring's central stone, a slab taller than the rest, its symbols glowing like molten iron. Silas moves to block me, his knife flashing, but Theo tackles him, their bodies crashing into the dirt. The explorers sway, their mouths opening in a silent scream as the hum becomes a shriek. The crack in the ground widens, splaying like a spider's web, and the mist pours upward, thick and black, carrying voices, hundreds, thousands, wailing in languages I don't know. I reach the central stone, my hands trembling as I press them against its surface. The shroud's power surges, a flood of ice and fire that claws at my mind. It shows me visions, a world drowned in shadow, cities crumbling under a sky of endless eyes, myself standing at its side, immortal, untouchable. "Take it," it whispers. "Be more." I grit my teeth, thinking of Theo, of the hikers lost to this place, of the Dusk Keeper's desperate plea. "No!" I scream, my voice raw. The Dusk Keeper roars, charging the ring, its body a blur of bark and bone. Its power slams into the shrouds, a collision of light and shadow that shakes the earth. The explorers collapse, their bodies limp, and Silas howls, his knife slashing at Theo. I focus on the stone, my hands burning as the symbols flare brighter. The shroud's voice grows louder, promising everything, but I cling to my pact, to the forest, to the people I've sworn to protect. "Close the gate!" I shout, my voice breaking. The Dusk Keeper's eyes meet mine, and for a moment I see something like gratitude. It drives its claws into the central stone, and the ring erupts in light, a blinding wave that sears my vision. The ground heaves, the crack sealing with a sound like thunder, and the mist collapses, sucked back into the earth. I'm thrown back, my body slamming into the dirt, and everything goes black. The real-world threads I'm weaving in ground this climax in a reality that feels tangible, even as the supernatural takes center stage. The stone ring draws inspiration from places like the Goseck Circle in Germany, a 7,000-year-old Neolithic structure aligned with solstices, believed by some to be a ritual site for connecting with otherworldly forces. Archaeologists argue it was a calendar, but local folklore whispers of doorways to other realms where time and space bend. Our ring mirrors this, its symbols echoing the spirals and eyes found in prehistoric art, like the petroglyphs of the American Southwest, which some Native American tribes link to spiritual gateways. Then there's the science of infrasound, a phenomenon I've studied in places like the Aokigahara forest in Japan, where low-frequency waves below human hearing can trigger dread, disorientation, even hallucinations. Researchers say it's why some haunted sites feel alive. Geological faults or wind patterns create vibrations that mess with the brain. The ring's hum could be this, amplified by the shroud's presence, turning a natural quirk into a supernatural lure. I've felt something similar here near the ponds where my phone's compass spun wildly and my watch lagged by 10 minutes. The shroud itself pulls from global folklore, like the Slavic concept of Nav, the underworld where souls linger, or the Celtic otherworld, a realm accessed through stone circles or sacred groves. The Ash Hollow archives, which I've pored over, mention a mist that steals breath from the 1880s when miners vanished, leaving carvings that match the ring's symbols. One diary from a trapper describes a presence that spoke in dreams, offering power for blood. My great-grandmother's journal, locked in our attic, warns of similar rituals, salt, bone, and chants, to keep the forest's hunger at bay. These stories aren't just superstition, they're warnings, etched into the land's memory. The confrontation also leans on psychological realism, rooted in studies of group dynamics under stress. In high-stakes moments, like those documented in survival accounts from places like the Dyatlov Pass incident, people's true natures surface: loyalty, betrayal, or desperation. Silas's hunger for power mirrors real-world cult leaders who exploit sacred sites, like the Order of the Solar Temple, who used ancient ruins for apocalyptic rituals in the 1990s. Lena's resolve, meanwhile, echoes the resilience of park rangers I've read about, like those in Yellowstone, who face natural and human threats with a stubborn sense of duty. When I come to, the ring is a ruin, its stones cracked and scattered like broken teeth. The air is still, the hum gone, replaced by the faint rustle of pines. Theo kneels beside me, his face bruised but alive, his grey eyes wide with relief. "Lena, you okay?" he asks, his voice hoarse. I nod, wincing as I sit up, my back screaming. Silas lies a few yards away, his body crumpled, his eyes open but empty, like the explorers in the footage. The shroud must have taken him, a final price for his betrayal. The 5 urban explorers are gone, their gear scattered, backpacks, broken cameras, a cracked phone screen glowing faintly in the dirt. I don't know if they're alive, lost in the forest, or consumed by the gate. The thought twists my gut, but there's no time to dwell. The Duskkeeper stands at the clearing's edge, its ember eyes dimmer now, its form fraying like smoke. "You kept your oath," it says, its voice a low rumble. "But the shroud endures, it will hunger again." It turns, melting into the trees, leaving only the echo of its warning. I grab Theo's hand, pulling myself up. The forest feels different, quieter, but not safe. The ring's power is broken for now, but the shroud's presence lingers, a shadow stitched into the earth. I think of the real-world places I've studied, Stonehenge, where druids still gather, claiming it channels ancient energies, or the Bermuda Triangle, where ships vanish, blamed on methane bubbles or magnetic anomalies. Our forest is like them, a nexus where the veil between worlds thins, and I'm its reluctant guardian. "What now?" Theo asks, his voice raw. He's shaking, but his grip on my arm is steady. "We rebuild," I say, my voice firmer than I feel. "We strengthen the patrols, seal the paths, and we watch. The shroud's not done, but neither are we." He nods, but his eyes flicker to the ruined ring, its stones dull under the moon. I know what he's thinking. This isn't over. The forest has secrets deeper than we can fathom, and the shroud is only one of them. I think of the Nazca lines in Peru, massive glyphs visible only from the sky, their purpose unknown. Ritual, navigation, or something else. Our ring is like that, a mark left by forces we don't understand, a puzzle we're forced to solve. As we turn back, the fog parts, revealing the path to the ponds. My flashlight catches a glint in the dirt, a single stone fragment, its spiral symbol intact, glowing faintly. I kick it into the shadows, but its image burns in my mind. The shroud's voice is silent now, but I feel its eyes waiting, patient, eternal. We walk in silence, the forest's whispers trailing us. Theo's hand brushes mine, a reminder we're in this together. The Dusk Keeper's pact binds me, but Theo's loyalty grounds me. I don't know what's coming, another traitor, another ritual, or the shroud itself. But I know we'll face it. For the forest. For the truth. For each other. The forest is silent now, a heavy quiet that presses against my skin like damp cloth. The stone ring lies in ruins, its slabs shattered into jagged chunks, scattered across the frostbitten earth like the bones of some ancient beast. I'm Nora, 33, my body aching from the cold that's sunk into my lungs and the backache that's been my shadow for weeks. I sit on a fallen log, my breath clouding in the pre-dawn chill, my knife still clutched in one hand, its blade dulled by the night's chaos. Beside me is my brother Caleb, 25, his face bruised and streaked with dirt, his green eyes hollow but alive. The air smells of pine and ash, the last traces of the shroud's presence fading like a bad dream. But I know better than to trust the calm. Silas is gone, his body slumped a few yards away, his eyes open, empty, staring at a sky he'll never see again. The shroud took him, I think, a final toll for his betrayal. The 5 urban explorers, their backpacks, cameras, and lives, are nowhere to be found. Scattered gear litters the clearing, a cracked phone screen, a torn jacket, a night vision goggle with a shattered lens. I don't know if they're wandering the forest, soulless like the strays in Ash Hollow's old stories, or if the gate swallowed them whole. The thought claws at me, but there's no time to grieve. The Dusk Keeper's words still burn in my mind. You kept your oath, but the shroud endures. It's not over, and maybe it never will be. Caleb shifts, his boots crunching on the frozen ground. He's been quiet since the ring collapsed, since the light and shadow tore through us, sealing the gate. His hands tremble as he pulls his coat tighter, but he doesn't look away from the wreckage. Nora, he says, his voice rough. What the hell did we just do? I don't answer right away. My hands are still raw from gripping the central stone, its symbols seared into my palms like a brand. The Dusk Keeper appeared at the end, its ember eyes dim, its form fraying into the mist. It will hunger again, it said, before vanishing into the trees. I've spent 5 years guarding this forest, bound by a pact I made at 28, thinking I was protecting it from hikers and poachers, from the leshy that lure with false voices or the vodyanoi that drag men under. But the shroud is something else, a force older than the mountains, older than the stories in my great-grandmother's journal. And I'm its keeper now, whether I want to be or not. We stopped it, I say finally, my voice steadier than I feel. For now, but we're not done. Caleb's eyes meet mine, searching, like he's trying to find the sister who used to race him across the twin ponds, back when the forest was just trees and ice. Not a battlefield. He's always been my anchor, the one who stayed when our siblings drifted. Lila to her city job, Marcus to his fishing boat up north. Caleb's a mechanic, good with his hands, quick with a joke, but tonight he's seen too much. What's next? He asks. We can't just go back to normal. I stand, wincing as my back protests, and tuck my knife into my pocket. The forest stretches around us, its pines and birches looming like silent judges. The ring's ruins are a scar, but the ground feels solid again, the crack that split it sealed shut. I think of the Dusk Keeper, its warning, and the shroud's vision, that endless maze of stone and shadow, its eyeless hunger promising power. I refused it, but its whisper lingers, patient, waiting for a crack in my resolve. We rebuild, I say, stepping toward the clearing's edge. We tighten the patrols, block the old paths, and we watch. The shroud's still here, Caleb. It's part of this place, like the ponds, like the trees. We don't let it win. He nods, but his gaze drifts to Silas's body, to the broken stones. And him? What do we do with that? I swallow hard. Silas was one of us, a night shift captain who knew the forest's secrets, its blind spots, its moods. He betrayed us, fed souls to the shroud for a taste of its power. I want to hate him, but I see myself in his hunger, the part of me that heard the shroud's offer and hesitated just for a second. We bury him, I say, deep where the forest can claim him. No markers, no questions. Caleb doesn't argue. He stands, brushing dirt from his hands, and we start walking, leaving the ring behind. The forest feels different, still alive, still watching, but quieter, like it's holding its breath. I think of the real-world places I've read about, places that mirror this uneasy truce. The Bennington Triangle in Vermont, where people vanished between 1945 and 1950, blamed on everything from Bigfoot to cursed land. Locals still avoid Glastonbury Mountain, claiming the woods swallow those who linger. Our forest is like that, a place where the veil thins, where things slip through. The Ash Hollow archives, hidden in the county library, tell similar tales, 1870s settlers who disappeared, leaving carvings of eyes and spirals near the ponds. One journal, from a blacksmith, describes a mist that sang, promising eternal life. My great-grandmother's diary, locked in our attic, echoes it, warning of rituals, blood, ash, and silence, to keep the forest's hunger at bay. Science offers no comfort. I've studied geomagnetic anomalies, like those in Oregon's vortex, where compasses spin and people feel time slip. The twin ponds have it too, a fault line beneath them, geologists say, emitting infrasound that rattles your nerves, makes you see things. I felt it in the ring, a hum that wasn't just sound but intent, the shroud's voice riding it like a current. Researchers call it a trick of the brain, but I know better. The shroud uses the forest's quirks, turns its natural strangeness into a trap. Folklore weaves through it all, grounding the impossible. The Slavic Zmej, a serpent spirit guarding sacred groves, feels like the dusk keeper, bound to protect but powerless against the shroud's hunger. The Irish cedar fairy mounds that lead to other worlds mirror the ring's role as a gate. My great-grandmother wrote of offerings, salt, bones, whispered names, to appease the forest's watchers. I've done my own scattering salt at the ponds, not because I believe, but because I'm afraid not to. We reach the path to the house, the fog thinning as dawn breaks, painting the sky a bruised purple. Caleb's steps are heavy, but he keeps pace, his shoulder brushing mine. I think of the Taos hum in New Mexico, a low-frequency noise only some hear, driving them to obsession. The ring's chant was like that, a sound that chose me, marked me. I wonder if Caleb heard it too, or if it's my burden alone. Nora, he says, stopping at the forest's edge. If it comes back, the shroud or something worse, promise we face it together. No secrets. I meet his gaze, his eyes steady despite the fear. The Dusk Keeper's pact weighs on me, a chain I can't break, but Caleb's trust is heavier. I want to tell him everything about the shroud's visions, the Dusk Keeper's desperation, the part of me that's terrified I'll fail. But my tongue feels leaden. Together, I say, and it's not a lie, but it's not the whole truth either. We step out of the forest, the house looming ahead, its windows dark. The ponds are behind us, hidden by trees, but I feel their pull, the ring's echo. I think of the Yonaguni Monument off Japan, a sunken structure some call a pyramid, others a natural formation, its purpose lost to time. Our ring is like that, a relic of something vast, its meaning buried but alive. The shroud waits, patient as stone, and I know it'll test me again, maybe tomorrow. maybe years from now. I lock the knife in my pocket, its weight a reminder. The forest is my duty, my prison, my home. Caleb's hand brushes mine, and for a moment I'm not alone. We'll rebuild, we'll watch, and when the shroud stirs, we'll be ready. The dawn breaks and the forest holds its secrets close, but I'm its keeper, and I'm not done fighting.